Welcome to FedScoop TV. We're here at the Red Hat 2016 Government Symposium, and today I'm with Nick Marcarelli. Nick is VP of Public Sector Sales for Shadowsoft. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So we're talking about all things open source in government. Give me your perspective on how you see open source being adopted in the federal government.
Well, the White House has done a great job making open source a forefront for how the government will be moving going forward. They've released instructions for open source to be considered as an option, a first option for all new projects. Mm-hmm. So that has also flowed down to large federal agencies, and they've been sending those set of instructions down. So we think there's a great future for open source within the government.
Certainly a good foundation. How do you see that evolving as we move into the next administration?
I think it will continue to expand. I think there's a great opportunity there. I think the government is starting to understand why open source is important, and that will allow it to spread and provide better options for the programs that they're building. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk next about cybersecurity. It's certainly a preeminent concern, always gets mentioned in the same sort of circles as open source. Why do you think the industry, what can industry really do to help really evangelize the notion that open source in fact can be very secure?
Sure. Well, there's been a history where people have thought that open source, the concept of open means not secure. And it's actually quite the opposite. And there's been plenty of written articles and reports and journals around why an open product actually creates more security, and it's because there's more eyes, mm-hmm. and there's more people, there's a larger community of people contributing to the overall success of the product. It also allows for bug fixes in a more timely manner. Mm-hmm. When you have a community of thousands of users and something horrible comes out into the world that is a security issue, you've got thousands of people contributing to that solution instead of 20 engineers in a room in some city.
Certainly makes a lot of sense when you think about it.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about IT modernization next. There's legislation that's making its way through Congress, as mm-hmm. you know, to try to help agencies improve their networks and systems and so forth. And how can open source help benefit that or maybe even accelerate it?
Sure. Modernization is an important thing within the government today. The government was really the innovator back in the day when it came to technology. They were a thought leader in this space, and they've established, mainframe computing was that's a government initiative, the internet itself. So industry has actually kind of taken over and provided all the innovation. And I think the government is starting to realize that there's all these great concepts out there. We need to embrace these concepts. They're all rooted in open source, mm-hmm. and start applying it to the way that we work today. What's great about that is the government begins to consume more open source, there's a likely chance that they'll start contributing back, as they have in the past, where they've contributed great technological advances. And I think that will continue over the next 10 years, that we'll see the government as a large contributor to the open source community. Mm-hmm.
And certainly we're seeing open source really up and down the stack. So as we think of IT modernization, it should help in a lot of dimensions as well. Would you
Absolutely,
agree?
Yes.
Yeah. And finally, what other areas, collaboration, mobility, speed, for example, can benefit from the open source development ethos?
I think collaboration is the most important focus point around open source and whoever's consuming it. Today, the government is providing services or applications to fit their program, but there's not collaboration outside of their program or their agency. So sometimes they're solving the same problem multiple times, mm-hmm. but going down their own path each time. And they may be a different set of solutions, but at the end of the day, if they can share code and they can share ideas and they can share architecture, the speed of delivery around getting that product where it needs to be would be better if there was, or faster really, if the collaboration was at the core. Mm-hmm. And the commercial sector struggled with this as well, but they're adopting quickly, and I think the government can do the same thing.
Well, it certainly spins the development wheel faster instead of having agencies reinvent the wheel.
Absolutely.
So it makes a lot of sense. Well, Nick, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Wyatt Cash with FedScoop TV. Look for more of our content on fedscoop.com. Thanks for being with us.